Hello there folks, Steve here, out for a little walk, just out of a little chat really. I like to come out into the woods, as you know, and be around the trees. It's a totally different thing to being in a house or in a building amongst people, and I love both worlds, you know. I could not live on my own in the forest, as much as beautiful as it may be. But I couldn't just stay in the city without at least going into a garden or something and looking at the leaves and breathing the air. You know, we are a part of nature. That is where the big library is. In fact, the word book itself derives from the Germanic word book, which is a tree, beech tree, book, because it's made out of, you know, wood and paper, leaves of paper. It's all synonymous. So for me, it's a little bit like coming to a library, but a place where all the words, all the logos, all the symbols, all of the meanings and numbers have no power here, only in my mind. So as I walk through, here I am, the intellectual being, walking through this great library of knowledge. Plants and trees and animals, insects, the nature elements, all in like a harmonic symphony with each other. And as one thing seems to go wrong, another comes and takes its place or brings it back into natural balance. And so that's what I guess it does with us humans when we come into the nature. We instantly start to become a part of the communication. You know, we always think of communication as speaking and listening, reading and writing. When you think about plants and how they communicate through fragrance, for example, pheromones, through movement, probably all kinds of like signals, like radio signals. We can't see radio signals, but here, even in the forest, there's millions of different radio stations all playing the latest pop songs or classical or jazz, talk radio in different languages, all amongst these trees here, really. Nature has its own wavelength. Maybe we can learn its language. As we know, when we speak languages, be it French or English, you seek for the word in your head. So like the language of the mind isn't a language like French or English or German. It's its own language. And maybe to talk to plants and animals and trees and the nature, we need to express that in a different natural language. Maybe in pictograms or feelings, you know, to express our feeling about something as we think about it. And I think for me, one of the biggest things was just to stop taking myself so seriously, stop thinking I need to know everything, and just start talking to trees with the absolute pragmatic wisdom that they've never spoken back. So I'm not going to expect it to happen for the first time, but to see if there's any kind of communication there. You know, it's like if we go to a foreign country and speak, "Can I have some water?" You know, speaking loud and slow doesn't make it any more understandable. Communication is anyway the biggest difficulty. As you speak, as I speak, I become the medium. I become the message. You know, there's often a case where when someone brings a bad message, the messenger gets attacked. And it's the same with these internet videos and stuff. Obviously this is public. This is what I publish. that means it goes out into the worldwide domain, or at least the domain of the public, whether it be a nation or a state. That public is one, like big group of people, men, women and children. So to a certain degree, the things in public that are out of reach of children are not allowed, which are high. You know, they're not low, they're high. So, you know, like in a sweet shop, they'll put the men's magazines at the top shelves, out of reach from the kids. So in society, obviously, we can't stop doing everything that the children shouldn't do. You know, we can't stop drinking alcohol, can't stop drinking coffee, can't stop making love and going to the toilet and stuff. But obviously they're not things that we subject the lower, littler people to, you know, the kids. And because it takes a certain amount of age and wisdom to understand each thing we come across, as you know. So when we're looking at public, it's quite a complicated realm of law. So the things I say on video, obviously, I have to consider there's all kinds of people watching. And it's not about me then revealing my secrets or me being in danger, but moreover, it's a danger if I say something that gets then taken, falsely misunderstood, and then used as a, you know, and hurts or harms somebody. For example, legal advice, you know. It's very difficult to give somebody any kinds of advice, because a lot of things like spiritual teachings, you know, it needs more than just a one-way image of somebody on a video talking with an audience. You know, it needs the teacher to be able to get the feedback off the one he's talking to. You know, if you're communicating in private, or at least with a live audience, but if you're talking one-to-one in private or to a small group, you can judge the reactions or misreactions and responses to things you say. So of course you can then make things clearer, remove misunderstandings, you know, question the recipient if they've actually got the idea right before using it. You get what I mean? So we're in this realm of public and private. But for me, when I'm making videos like this, I like to be able to speak transparently. And that means having nothing that I would say in private that I can't say in public, really. At least to the point where if somebody was secretly listening to my conversation with somebody in private, that if that was then put out into the public, that it wouldn't be on my back, you know. Because the one who puts private information into the public realm makes himself responsible or liable for that. And so I can get in a bit of a fix when I talk on people on Skype or over the internet in private. Not only am I endangering the other person trying to share stuff that shouldn't go public, you know, like personal details, ideas that are not come to fruition, you know, things, inventions, you know. And so then if I'm getting used to talking to a camera and speaking things into camera that are private, and then I come out again and speak to a live broadcast, then I have to censor myself and it becomes kind of difficult. So for me it's been a case of like sticking with public. I don't talk to many people on Skype because I don't really like to have things that they have to keep a secret. You know, secrets are burdens, truths are burdens. If the world is not ready for a particular truth, it becomes a burden to all those who hear it. And sometimes you're better off not knowing yet, because then it doesn't cloud everything else. You're not waiting for other people to catch up. You can carry on dealing with other truths. I mean, there's millions of truths. But yeah, the public and private thing, you know, there's a great responsibility to putting out information. And one person's truth might be different to another person. Yes. And I'm seeing it with the Hangouts. I think it's good to watch these Hangouts and watch friends talking to each other with the live broadcast and a live chat. We're all like a bit of a kind of a tribe or a family of like-minded folk, or not like-minded folk, people who are looking for answers or got questions. And that we can accept each other's characters and accept that to a certain degree each one of us is born with a different role, born with a different task. Now, I'm not saying we have a task given to us, I'm just saying it's kind of inherent, isn't it? You know, none of us are the same, even though that the system kind of enforces its norm upon us all, the social normality. But generally we're all unique, and so thus we all have different vocations, different missions, different ways of speaking, different kind of oaths that we speak to ourselves. You know, there's certain words that I never use, but I never condemn anyone else for using those words. It's just that each person's got to stick with their role, because obviously, you know, all the roles interacting together are like music. You've got the more aggressive natures, or excited, let's say. You know, aggressive always sounds bad, but the more spirited people who like to get up and play things out and shout and sing and laugh and cry. And then you've got those others who are remain very much balanced and level-headed and everything else. And you know, everything is important to the mix, to the song. And that's the good thing about us coming together on Hangouts, on these videos, being human, allowing each other to be human, allowing each other to make mistakes in order to come out of ourselves. Because if we don't allow each other to make mistakes, then we trap ourselves. You know, let's say if I wanted to try out some new clothes and I decide to try a pink hat, and everybody laughs at me and says, you know, you look really daft in a pink hat, then I maybe change it to burgundy, and then everyone would, you know, whatever, ignore it. But then I'd know, okay, you know, I'd made the mistake, I'd come out and nobody's angry with me for wearing the stupid pink hat. You know, most mistakes are forgivable. You know, obviously not to harm anybody or dishonour them in such a way. The idea that we don't want to be similar. So, you know, as much as I see somebody maybe on a video shouting his head off, or another person staying quiet, it's all necessary. It's all necessary to that big song, that big orchestral symphony. The reason I use the symphony is because, you know, if we look around, we can all judge through our eyes. But when we hear a piece of music, if we hear one violin out of tune, you can hear it. Everybody can hear it. Non-musicians, musicians, people who know nothing about frequencies, people who know nothing about mathematics can hear when that instrument is out of tune. Now that is, in essence, our ears as being a fine gauge, and we can then recognise a harmonic mathematic logic. And it is a logic. It's not, notes are not just random. You know when you hear an out of tune note. So when we hear a symphony, it's not questionable in the mind, is this a good symphony? It's the laws and golden rules of music harmony, or the harmony of sound. And we hear that and we feel that. We don't need to question that. You don't listen to a piece of music and say that's the truth. And so the voice, just like as an animal recognises your voice, your cat or your dog or any other animal may recognise your voice as its master or friend. And so it's the voice, the sound of the voice that is the verification, is the testament or whatever, is the power. And again, the word person, it comes from the word persona, which indicates a mask. But a mask is only activated when it speaks. So you have a mask and then you hear a voice by sona. Sona is connected with sound, sonic. So persona is by the sound. The universe was created with sound, with the word. The word, it becomes, it has meaning in the mind. When you hear a word, it becomes like light. You see it. You see the word, even though it was spoken, comes in and you see it. But with a music piece, where there's harmony in use, or even a conversation where you hear the melody, it's a different communication. So we live in a realm of two communications, light and sound. And that mixed with the world of public and private, worlds divide. It's not just one world we live in. Anyway, yeah, I'll just leave it there, because I was just talking about public and private, really, the idea of the responsibility on oneself to try and find the right words so as not to slip up when under pressure. Okay, have a good time. See you later. Cheerio.